Hello, my kings and queens. Welcome back to another video on the channel. So, I'm a little late to this trend, almost 2 months late to this trend specifically. So, I'm sorry, but it's been 3 months since I posted my last video. I was, by the time of that video, I was finishing up school and I had a lot of work to do, so that explains why I was late to this specific trend in this specific movie. So, yeah. So, in April of this year, rumors were like spreading of this movie that was going to be releasing on Netflix. So no theatrical release. It was going to be released on Netflix. And then the trailer of this movie came out in May of this year, and we all clowned this movie specifically because we all thought it was gonna be trash. Cut to when it was released, and it blew up. Words cannot describe how much people loved this movie. Like, it could not, it blew up. It became a worldwide phenomenon, and even beat it out Pixar's Elio, which came out, I don't know, I don't know, in the same. It came out this Elio came out this year, but it probably released like a few weeks before this movie, and it bombed to say the least. Hi, editing right here. I just found out like the day, I think the day after I recorded this video, that Elio came out on the exact same day as the movie I was talking about. The exact same day, Elio came out in theaters. The movie I'm talking about came out in on Netflix, of course. And of course, naturally, because we are all broke in 2025 and inflation is crazy right now, of course, we all watched the movie I was talking about at home because we didn't have to pay for it because most of us have Netflix subscriptions. So, of course, we weren't going to go see Elio because we're all broke. Mainly because of Disney and their corporate ego and all that stuff. So, that's that's yikes, yikers. But yeah. So yeah, this movie was by Sony Animation, the same people who created Emoji Movie, which which bombed, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse. Hi, Onion on here. I forgot to mention this because I forgot this. But Sony also did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and the Hotel Transylvania series, which those movies were immaculate. So yeah, except for Hotel Transylvania movie. We don't talk about that. And I heard a lot of people was not the hugest fan of the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs um sequel, but I actually really liked it. But I did prefer the original movie overall. But I forgot to mention those because I was stupid and tired. I watched um I watched Into the Spider-Verse when it first came out, but I did not watch Beyond the Spider-Verse. So, if you guys know from those key clues, we're talking about K-pop Demon Hunters today. I am kind of late to this trend. I'm kind of late to this movie. I jumped. I was I was doing my work when this movie came out, and it also came out the day before my mom's birthday. So I was like, this is not gonna be good. I have a feeling. Then when I started seeing like people talking about, oh, it's really good, yada yada yada. Oh, it's so good, it's so good. The songs were slapping. I was like, what is going on? I could not escape hearing Golden or Soda Pop in my YouTube Shorts feed. I could not escape this movie. So I finally sat down a week ago. I finally sat down. I was like, I'm gonna watch this movie and I'm gonna see the hype about it. I am really wrong. I was wrong. That movie was phenomenal. Absolute cinema. Absolutely good. The animation was stunning. I loved the visuals. I loved the characters. I also loved the songs. They slapped. Then on my second rewatch, I was like, wait a minute. This is kind of similar to another movie that came out almost 11 years ago. That movie is My Little Pony Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks, the second installment to the My Little Pony franchise. Today we're going to be talking about the similarity. Yep, I, I should move this over. Oh no, no, no. There we go. My mom is in a meeting, so I had to turn this around. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about this. The we're going to be talking about K-pop Demon Hunters and Rainbow Rocks today. We'll be going into the similarities, the we're going to be going into their plot lines, the similarities, the faction, the characters, the storyline, its overall themes, and the ships. It's going to be chaotic today, so let's get into it. But before we get into today's video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below. What did you think about these movies? Did you like them? Did you love them? Did you hate them? Or did you fall into, they're okay? And what's your favorite songs from both of these movies? And what are your favorite characters from these movies? I want to know. Let's have a conversation. I want to know. Also, I want to point out I'm still doing Queen of What Ifs. I'm just burnt. I'm just tired. I'm tired. If you don't know, I said this like months ago. I announced this in like January or something. I have a new channel. It's called Queen of What Ifs. There's no videos on it because I'm still working on it. The first three videos are gonna be on the question girls, like I said, and it's gonna be what if Flash Sentry. Remember that dorky, blue-haired, Sonic-looking guitar player who had a thing for Princess Twilight? Yeah, that character. And what if he was a part? And what if he had a much bigger role? What I mean by that is, what if he had his own Geo power? What if he was a part of the girls' group? What if he, what if he had his own element of harmony? All that good stuff. And I go into each, well, except the first three, I go into each piece of media and then I change it fit to fit this new world. It's gonna be split into three parts because I added new stuff to it so it can have more world building and most importantly a better ending. Hasbro, bring it back so we can at least have a proper ending because you gave Friendship is Magic a good ending, so why couldn't you give Equestria Girls a good ending? So yeah, so just keep an eye out for that. I'll make a video when it's out, and then I'll link it to you so you guys can go watch it. I'm almost done with part one. I have to finish. I have to finish editing it. Oh my god, I have to finish editing it. So yeah, we're going to start. Okay, you're probably thinking, Aria, what is Equestria Girls exactly? I know there's a whole dedicated fandom to it, but I'm gonna run it through. Some people don't know it. So, Equestria Girls is a spin-off movie series to the show My Little Pony My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which released in 2010. So, a brief overview of that. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic follows our main character and our main protagonist, Twilight Sparkle, as she and her friends, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, and Rarity go through wacky misadventures, and in the end, they all learn a lesson about the magic of friendship. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in that show. I am on season 2. um, but they deal with a lot of friendship problems. There's a lot of characters, a lot of villains and stuff. And it's set in the world of Equestria, and it's mainly in the town of Ponyville, a kind of like villagey cottagecore town filled with, you guessed it, ponies. Equestria Girls was made to see, oh, what would these ponies look like as humans like us? But it was also made to capitalize on the success of this. It was also made to capitalize on the success of Monster High, which was an incredibly popular doll line by the toy company Mattel. Mattel's also the same people who did Barbie. You know, Barbie, the queen of the doll world, the the head honcho of the toy company. Because let's be real, every one of us had owned a Barbie doll at some point. I still have a lot of them. There's a good channel called Beauty Inside a Box. They have a lot of stuff on like the history of certain Barbie characters like Skipper, Midge, Ken, all that good stuff. I'll link their channel down below. So yeah, Equestrials can also be made to capitalize on the success of Ever After High, which is Monster High's sister doll line, sister series. Because I think it also was released in 2013 along with the first movie. I don't know. But the first movie of the Equestria Girl series follows Twilight Sparkle and she has to get her crown back from the queen, Sunset Shimmer. Sunset Shimmer had stolen the crown and went back to the human world. I don't remember why. I just watched this. What is wrong with me? But she steals the crown from Twilight because she left the crown on her nightstand like an idiot. So Sunset stole the crown and took it back to the human world, and Twilight has to follow her. The catch is she turns into she and Spike. She takes Spike with her. Well, Spike follows her. She is a human and Spike's a dog. So Twilight has to get adjusted to the human world, and she meets the human counterparts of her friends. She also meets Last Century, who I mentioned before, and she falls in love with him. We'll talk about that later. But Twilight ends up getting the crown back, but Sunset turns into a she demon. And Twilight and her friends Twilight is almost killed by Sunset, but like her human counterpart friends, they shield her and they ended up getting magic themselves and they pony up. They call it pony up and they officially call it pony up Friendship Groups Onward, but I'm calling it pony up because that's what they refer it to. But they ended up ponying up and they ended up defeating Sunset Shimmer, and that's basically where we're at by the time Rainbow Rocks starts. So we're gonna get into a brief synopsis about these two movies. I'm gonna start with Rainbow Rocks first since I know that one better because I just started watching K-pop Demon Hunters. So if I forget it, I'm sorry. If I'm forgetting a few things, I'm sorry. So Rainbow Rocks was released on September 27th, 2014. Not even a so almost 11 years apart from K-pop Demon Hunters. It's about 6 months later after the events of the first movie, but on the night of the fall formal, which is the huge big dance that causes like the climax of the first movie, we meet our three main villains, which I'm about to get a point to right now. The Dazzlings are literally a combination of the Huntrix girls and the Saja boys. What I mean by we meet our three villains: Adagio Dazzle, Aria Blaze, yes, this character has my name, and Sonata Dusk. These three are a trio of sirens. Yes, sirens. They have ruby pendants and they have harmonic voices. So when they sing, they cause discord, not the character, like the term. They cause discord around anyone who listens to their song. Yeah, so Let's go ahead and compare. Let's go ahead and compare like the Huntrix girls to the Dazzlings. We have the leader who has an huge cartoonishly amount of hair. So we have Rumi and Adagio. Adagio is of course the leader, and similarly to Rumi, she has a whole bunch of hair. Rumi has a long purple braid, kind of like Rapunzel's braid, but it's purple and it's kind of like a mohawk like braid. I don't know. Um she has this like kind of I think it's called a dragon braid or something. She has a long dragon braid that falls to her calf, and Adagio has her curly like orangey hair in a ponytail and her hair is kind of long. Coincidence? I think not. Then we have Mira and Arya. They both have ponytails and they're both very sharp as a tack, no nonsense, kind of snarky. But the difference between Arya and Mira is Mira actually cares about people and she's the most emotionally aware of the Huntrix girls. And then Sonata and Zoe, they're both cheerful, kind of ditzy, and I wouldn't say boy crazy for Sonata, but Zoe is very boy crazy. Exhibit A, the popcorn eyes when she first sees the Shaja boys. But you're gonna be like, what about the Arya? What about the Sasha boys? Well, both the Dazzlings and the Sasha boys, they both use their songs and their music to hypnotize people to get them to fall in love with them. Only with the Sasha boys, it's only so that they can steal souls and then they can dwindle the Huntrix fan base so that they can steal their souls and channel energy back to their king. Oh my god, if I pronounce this wrong, I'm sorry. Kima. It's like Guima. It's spelled Guima, but it's pronounced Guima. Oh my god, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. But Guima is like the king, like the demon king in K-pop Demon Hunters. So that they can power it up. I'll explain why the Sacha boys are like trying to dwindle the Hunter X fan base. We're on Rainbow Rocks right now. So on the night of the fall formal, the Dazzlers kind of lament about, oh, we cannot get energy because the energy in this world, the human world, isn't the same as Equestria. They can only gain so much power in their world. Arya says that she wishes that they were never banned, banished to the human world. This is explained later. But Adagio notices something outside, and she runs outside, and she sees this rainbow laser of some sort. Keep in mind, this is all happening like the same night as Fall Formal. So what that is, the rainbow lasers is it's like I think it's where Sunset gets defeated. So yeah. So she notices that and she says that there's now equestrian magic in their world and they're gonna use it to make sure that everyone in the world adores them. Now we get to the intro. We're gonna talk about like the songs that are similar and the songs that like don't fall into like a specific category. Um Sunset is struggling because everyone is remembering her as, oh, that's the girl who almost tried to kill us. Yeah, like I said before, Sunset turned into a she demon by putting on Twilight's crown. It overwhelmed her so much that she turned into a demon, and she turned like everyone in the school into her own personal teenage zombie army so that she can invade Equestria. Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Everyone's talking about her, and it kind of spills into the girls. The girls form their own band for the musical showcase called the Rainbooms, and it consists of Rainbow Dash, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Fluttershy. Notice how I didn't say Sunset. Twilight's not there because the portal in the movie, in the last movie, the portal closed at midnight and Twilight left with just enough time so that she could get back home on time. The portal closed and it does not open, it won't open again for 30 moons. If you do the math, considering that there is a moon, a full moon in every month, Twilight cannot return for 2.5 years. So, yeah, I had to Google that because I got confused as a kid. Um, but she is struggling because everyone doesn't really like her. Well, not everyone talks about her behind her back and they treat her with a lot of hostility.
Should she suffer? All right, clap if you think she should suffer.
And the girls, they're trying to be a friend, but they're really kind of not. They did not invite Sunset into their band, kind of leaving her out of stuff that they do as like friends. And Rainbow Dash calls the Rainbooms, the band that they're all in, her band because she's the lead singer. Rarity is confused by this, and Rainbow Dash says in the movie that it was her idea to start the Rainboom so that they can be in the showcase, and she's the lead singer and guitarist.
So, clap if you've ever wanted to kill somebody.
This is when Flash comes in and he asks if, oh, is Princess Twilight gonna come back? Applejack says that it will be a long time before Twilight is ever allowed to come back because of the portal, and Flash is disappointed. Rarity makes this kind of like joke about Flash calling him a smitten kitten. Sunset explains, if you don't know, prior to the movie, Sunset and Flash, they were dating and they broke up like a few weeks prior to the first movie, so we're gonna move on from that. We'll talk about that later. But Rarity Rarity calls him a smitten kitten, and then she apologizes to Sunset because she always forgets that they used to be together. Sunset says that she didn't like him in that sense, like romantically, and that she was only using him to be more to get more popularity from herself. That's giving Regina Georgia. I'm sorry, but Sunset had volunteered to show around new students, and lo and behold, it's the Dazzlings. The Dazzlings are the aforementioned new students that Sunset has to tour around. While on this tour, though, Sunset kind of feels weirded out by them because because the Dazzlings, they acted weird around her. And when Sunset tries to touch Adagia's pendant, she kind of like catches onto her wrist. That actually does hurt, by the way, to stop her from touching it. And Adagio explains that the pendants mean a lot to them and they would hate to have anything bad happen to them. This at lunch, Sunset tells the girls, hey, these girls kind of acted weird around me and they acted kind of off. Sunset thinks that it's because someone had already talked to them and told her about what she did in the first movie, and she really wanted to make a good first impression, but this obviously failed. However, a few moments later, the Dazzlings come in the cafeteria, start their siren song, and hypnotize everyone to have a battle of the bands. You're except the girls because they're protected because they have equestrian magic on their hand and the magic of friendship or whatever. And it turns out they got to the principal and the vice principal as well. They got to Principal Celestia and Vice Principal Luna as well. I would also assume that they probably got in Miss Cheerly. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. And Mr. Cranky Doodle. He shows up like later in the series as a teacher. Cranky Doodle in Friendship is Magic is a demon. Not a demon, a donkey that Pinkie Pie tries to befriend. He's like, no, I don't want to be your friend until the end of the episode because Pinkie found his like past girlfriend or something. I don't know. And I don't remember. But So Sunset eventually has to figure out. Sunset eventually is able to contact Twilight through her book that she has because she had a magic book where she can contact Princess Celestia by writing in it. So she ends up contacting Princess Twilight, and Princess Twilight explains to the girls in Ponyville that the Dazzlings sound a lot like the Sirens, which were three beautiful but dangerous creatures who sung songs so that they can cause discord and further spread their dark magic. But Star Swirl, the bearded, who's mentioned a couple times throughout the series, ends up banishing them to a faraway land, one where he believed that they wouldn't have magic anymore. That world ended up being the one where Twilight's friends and Canterlot High lives. Yikes! And since there's magic there now, the Pony Applejack questions, however, like why, but Star Swirl sent them there a long time ago, so why are they surfacing just now? Twilight says that she doesn't know, and she ends up building this like makeshift portal using the book that Sunset was able to contact her from. She's able to make a makeshift portal so that she can easily just go to and from wherever she wants, and she ends up going through anyways. They catch up, and Pinkie Pie suggests like, oh, they're gonna be at Pinkie Pie says that there was a huge party that night with whoever with everyone who's gonna be like the musical showcase, which would include the Dazzlings. So they end up going to that party, and they think, oh, we're gonna stop them, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. No, this happens. I think are here to avoid um to avoid copyright because I put a K-pop demon or something here, so I don't know if the video's gonna immediately get flagged or not if I use like any more clips. But what happens in this team is the girls, minus Sunset, of course, they go into this formation. They hold hands and they think the same rainbow lasers thing is gonna happen like in the first movie. It does not, and they're just freaking like absolute idiots while everyone just watches or like what? Rainbow Dash says, hey, weren't there rainbow lasers and stuff like that last time? And Twilight is confused like this because they were all together again, so she doesn't know why isn't this working. And please look it up on YouTube or something. It has to be on YouTube. This scene is so cringe. And I feel like all of us who watch Rainbow Rocks remember that scene and immediately either skip it or just feel the second-hand embarrassment. All of us, Zalpas, millennials, whatever, all of us rightfully cringed at that scene. Yeah, so if you can tell from that scene, they were in kind of like a open circle with holding hands because that's what happened the previous time. They think that, oh, we're gonna be able to pony up and we're gonna and then we're gonna shoot rainbow lasers and we're gonna defeat them easily, but it doesn't work. And kind of glad it doesn't work, and I'm kind of glad it didn't work because they were in the gym, and if there was rainbow lasers and everything, yeah, the school would probably explode. but But Adagio ends up saying, "Oh, they're cocky. They're not gonna win. They think they got this. They think they're gonna win. And they think they got us all locked up." And this causes more tension, and everyone starts arguing in the gym. And Adagio points out that the girls in Sunset are not affected, and they found what they're looking. So a lot of things happen. I'm gonna go for like a brief, because I'm tired. Hi, editing Ara here. I forgot to mention this. So the girls decided to write a counter spell to fight against the sirens so that they could beat them and essentially save their school. And they also have a sleepover at Piggy Pie's house. And Twilight hasn't wrote anything like this ever. So naturally she's freaking out. And we also see more tension between the girls. Specifically, Fluttershy said to Twilight after she complimented her song that, and I'm gonna quote this. She says, and I quote, "Hopefully one day we'll get a chance to play it." Meaning that Rainbow Dash. This also happened earlier on in the movie after Sunset leaves to go meet the Dazzlings. She said she does not have. She doesn't want them for some reason that I don't think is ever explained in the movie that she does not want Fluttershy's songs to be performed, and instead she wants Awesome as I Wanna Be to be performed. This causes a lot of tension between the girls, and they practice the counterspell the next day after Twilight and Sunset have a conversation. And I also want to point out that in this scene, a lot of fans reframe them as lesbian lovers, and I am not against that. I kind of agree. It's also really funny considering Sunset is canonically bisexual. So yeah, we stand bisexual representation, but they kind of have a bit of a back and forth on how Sunset's like, oh, it must be nice to be the person everyone comes to help with their problems instead of being the one who ends up causing the problem. And I feel so bad for her in this scene because let's be real, no one gave you know what I'm talking about. But no one really cared for Sunset in this movie, and this is something that I at least am trying to remedy in the Queen of Loves video where Twilight kind of gets out of her funk a little earlier. She has a bit of an I'm gonna say this, spoiler, but the problem is she doesn't finish the counterspell in time. I think that's what ends up happening, but she's like very trying to keep the girls together. It does not go well, obviously, but I did want to mention that they had a sleepover, and we also get where they another scene where they all decide to perform in the Battle of the Bands for real. They originally were gonna perform in the first competition in Performing Counterspell then, but because Twilight didn't finish it, they said are gonna compete for real, head to the finals, and then they could do the counterspell then. This puts a lot of pressure on Twilight for most of the movie, and it also is a form of more tension. So I wanted to mention that. Thank you. What ends up happening is the Battle of the Bands starts. A lot of things happen during Shake Your Tail, which is the song that the girls perform. Rarity is wearing this metal fringe jacket. Like the fringes are made of metal or something, or like mirror. I don't know, or like they're made of metal. Photo finish and two of her like friends, they end up dropping magnets, two magnets tied to like puppet strings. They attach to Rarity's jacket on her arms, and then she gets dragged around like a rag doll for most of the song. And then later in the song, Twilight chokes on a piece of confetti, and when Flash walks out, she looks sad. She looks like she's about to cry. Pinkie Pie sets off the confetti, by the way, and then again later in the song, Snips and Snails. Those two idiots. Um, they end up using a spotlight, and they cast the spotlight on Fluttershy, knowing that she is shy. It's in her name, and they ended like turning the spotlight to wherever Fluttershy is so that she runs around the stage and she ends up hiding behind Pinkie Pie and her drums. And at the end of the song, Applejack is screaming, "Shake your tail," while the other girls are singing. She's saying, "Shake your tail." If I can put it in, I'll put it in. But and then Rarity is just like pulling so that she can be released and she's free, but the sleeves on her jacket rip off and then she cries. Is just enjoying her life, having the time of her life. Twilight's about to cry. Applejack is mad. Rainbow Dash is just trying to finish the song, and Fluttershy is hiding behind Pinkie Pie's drums because of the spotlight. And then more things go wrong with Twilight trying to write the counterspell. Sunset's trying to belong. Twilight ends up getting to a fight with Flash or whatever. Hi, Isaac Ari here. I wanted to kind of go over about what happens in this stupid fight, and I guess this is why everyone laughed. Honestly, I can't blame them because I honestly kind of really like Flash now, mainly because I fanfic write a lot, and he is such a blank based character that you can basically make him into your own OC at that point. Me personally, how I write him, I would be very quick witted and sarcastic. The sarcasticness kind of is a bit of a shift of his personality because I'm going to post these eventually on here. But his mother passed away of like cancer, and that causes a huge shift in his character to where he is very sarcastic and very, very broody. It's kind of like Lucas Scott from One Tree Hill, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, funny story about that. I didn't. My mom was watching One Tree Hill, and when she was reading these fan fictions of Flash, she was like, "Hey, I think you made him like Lucas," and I was like, "What?" And then when I started watching One Tree Hill, I'm like, "I totally did." I did not watch One Tree Hill with her. I would be like, "Oh, you're watching One Tree Hill again?" And she's like, "Yeah." But anyways, what ends up happening is Flash is just very mad at Twilight because he thinks for some weird reason that the only reason she came back was just so she can beat him in the battle of the bands. And I quote, he says, "I want this Twilight, and you're trying to take it from me." Some friend. Um, what? What? Me personally, if I was Twilight, I would have decked him right then and there, and I would have told him that the only reason that I was here was to help my friend. That's all she could have said. That I would have to suffer. Why? I don't like this. You can tell I don't like this shit, but I make a whole point about it later on. I don't like them together. I don't like it. The Dazzlings get inside Sunset's head a bit. They sing Under Our Spell, getting more people all riled up. And then Awesome as I Wanna Be happens. Yeah, at this point, the girls have had it up to here with Rainbow Dash's shenanigans. Fluttershy is mad. Fluttershy is mad because when she is you doing her tambourine, you can see like when it like closes up to like Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy. Fluttershy is banging her tambourine like normal, but when Rainbow Dash finishes Awesome as I Wanna Be like starts running like on the stage, Fluttershy rolls her eyes. And then when she like gets close to like Rarity and Applejack, they both look mad. You can barely see Applejack, so you can see Rarity's like clip. If you can pause it at the right time, you'll see Applejack looking absolutely mad. It's kind of funny. And then Pinkie Pie is just bored while Rainbow Dash is rocking out. Except earlier in the movie, right before you're about to sing Shake Your Tail, Twilight says they have to be good enough to make it through, but not so good that they end up ponying up. Rainbow Dash says the infamous 20% less cool. She forgot that, And she starts ponying up, and Sunset has to tackle her on stage so that she can't. And that causes a lot of people saying, oh, that's a bad girl we love to hate, yada yada yada. It caused a lot of it caused a lot of friction. Sunset says that she didn't know what else to do, but Rarity said when they're off stage, Rainbow Dash asked what was Sunset doing, and Sunset says that she was showing her magic. She didn't know what else to do but besides to tackle her on stage. Rarity says that Sunset could have at least unplugged, closed the curtains, unplugged Rainbow Dash's amp, or let the other girls deal with the situation. But let's be real, if she had done any of that, Rainbow Dash would have ponied up and y'all would have been disqualified and you wouldn't have had a chance to compete. So, yeah. Trixie makes this situation much worse by kind of like egging Sunset on until she yells, "It wasn't a fit of jealous rage." Yikes. I made it worse than the Queen of Letters video. I made it much worse. Yay. But it turns out that the Dazzlings had spelled Vice Principal Celestia and Luna to make sure that the Dazzlings advance and Trixie's band is out. However, when they're practicing for the finale, Trixie and her band like kind of ambush during moves, and one of Trixie's friends pulls a lever which opens a trapdoor and sends them falling on under to underneath the stage. Yeah, so why was that trapdoor there? No, we're just gonna brush off the fact that Trixie literally committed attempted murder. No? Okay then. um, and this all leads to like the climax of the movie. The girls fight. Twilight is like moping in the corner, like crying or something. While the girls are fighting, Sunset makes a monologue talking about how she just didn't want to say anything about like the problems that were going on and all that stuff. And at the end of the movie, Sunset ends up ponying up during Rainbow's battle after the girls got their butts beat. Sunset ends up ponying up. Yay.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment.
And they end up defeating the Dazzlings. All is well in the world. Twilight returns back to Pony. Twilight returns back to Equestria, and that's where the movie ends. That's like a very brief overview of that movie. I'm tired. I'm sorry. That's a very brief overview of the movie. And now, let's go into K-pop Demon Hunters. So we get exposition in the first. Like I said before, K-pop Demon Hunters released in June of this year, specifically on June 4th, June 20th of this year, and it was a huge, huge, huge success. Sony beyond that, Sony created Spider-Verse, and they also did Hotel Transylvania, all four of them. So that's very impressive. That's a very impressive resume. We get an exposition dump from Celine. I'll tell you who she is later. Celine explains to our three main characters, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, that demons have always haunted their world, and centuries ago, the first hunters emerged. They sung songs of hope and using the souls and using like the souls from like the fans and from like all the people watching them sing, they created a magical shield called the Han Moon. The Han Moon keeps the demons trapped so that they can't invade the world. The Han Moon it keeps the demons trapped so that they can't enter their world. And every generation, a new trio of hunters is chosen to protect this legacy. To protect their legacy so that they can later turn the Han Moon gold, and that now falls on to Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. Mira is the lead dancer and visual and lead dancer of Huntrix, which is the band that they're in. And no one can move like Mira. Mira is very edgy and like hardcore, and she wore a sleeping bag to the Met Gala. That's kind of iconic. Speaking of the Met Gala, why do they always? I feel like in early days of the Met Gala, everyone was just like slaying, but now it's just weird. Let's be real. The Met Gala this year was so bad, and I'm very scared for next year. But yeah, yeah. Zoe is the lead rapper and songwriter of the group, and Zoe specifically grew up in Burbank, USA, and she's very adorable and very cute. Even when she raps, she goes hard and she gets very scary. And Rumi, our main character, is pop star loyalty. Her mother was in like the previous trio of hunters and their group is called the Sunlight Sisters. Rumi's mother died when she was a baby, and Celine, the woman I mentioned before, raised her and built Huntrix around her. And Rumi's voice specifically is amazing, so much so that it brings some fans to tears. On the plane though, we see that these girls they love food. They eat a lot of food. Bobby, their manager, ends up calling while they're on the plane about to eat their pre-show ramen. Bobby says that they're late, but the girls are like, no, we're not, until they look out the window and see that they passed the concert venue. And Rumi realizes, oh, they're demons. They all of them realize that, oh, they're demons. Mira says that Mira, like they're all annoyed because they're about to be late. And then the events that follow are iconic and what sold the movie for me. So they end up fighting. They end up fighting on the plane, and we hear the first song, "How It's Done," and they use their swords and they use their weapons. Rumi has a sword, Mira has like an axe, and Zoe has like knives of some sort, like blades. I know there's some. I'm gonna do like a whole video on like historical stuff behind K-pop Demon Hunters because I really need to do my research. I'm sorry, I'm really tired, but they end up doing. They end up. They end up. They end up like playing like the demons, and then when when some of the other demons who are still alive like tears their plane apart, they're just so nonchalant about it. These girls are stupid rich, by the way. It's crazy how rich they are. So they're so unfazed by their plane being like trash, so much so that they eat their pre-show ramen, and then they jump out the plane. They look like they're flying, free falling out of a plane to be exact. And then while they're killing the demons, they're doing their own makeup while falling out the sky. It's iconic. It's so iconic. And when they land, this is so casual for them. Like the fans, they say, "Oh, look, it's them," as they're like falling and slaying demons while they perform. And during this opening, the girls notice that the Hanmoon has gold streaks, meaning they're about to turn it gold. And that's the opening. That's the opening of the movie. That's 8 minutes into the movie. Kima is enraged by the fact that the hunters are about to turn the Hanmoon gold. However, our other main character, Jinu suggests that they go ahead, that they go and they take the thing that powers the Hanmoon, which is the fans. He chooses him and the four random demons. He suggests they form a demon boy band. And this scene very exemplifies what we all thought before watching this movie. Yes, so when Genu shows them that they look good, you hear this like pop flourish while the other four like start transforming. It's like into like their human stuff. I'll introduce you to all the Sasha boys later. Ginu is one of them. So yeah, back 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 with our main characters, while they're like while they're happy and like while they're happy about like the Han Moon about to turn gold, Ruby starts to cough and she says, "Oh wait, that's kind of weird." But Zoe and Mira said that, "Oh, thank God we're taking the break because it seems like you need to rest." Ruby's like, "Oh, I just need a little water. I'm fine. I'll tell you what's going on later." So when they get home from their like when they get home from like their concert, they're not Ruby, Mira and Zoe, they think they're about to start their vacation. However, Ruby releases their new single and she even puts on her costume. And when Zoe and Mira start lay on the couch and like are about to eat, Ruby comes in with the most deviously looking grin I have ever seen in my life. And then she had when Zoe and Mira realize that Ruby is wearing her new costume for the golden single, that's the single that she released without them knowing. Ruby, not Ruby, Mira and Zoe are sad because they were just about to start their vacation, and Ruby has both of their golden costumes and like pushes it forward towards them, while Mira and Zoe start crying because they just wanted to relax. But then when they hear that the single has gone viral, they're happy. They're happy. The single is a huge hit. A lot of people are listening to it over and over and over again. And the Hundreds Girls announced that they are going to have a live performance of Golden. But before, mind you, this is 10 minutes before they perform. While they're going through rehearsals, while they're going through rehearsals of this live performance, Rumi can't hit the high notes in Golden. If you have heard that song before, you know that she hits some crazy high notes. But when she tries to go again, she starts to cough and she ends up having to or go to her dressing room to take a 5 minute break. I purposely forgot to mention this. Yeah, so Ruby's half demon. If you haven't watched, I should have put crap. I'll put a spoilers in the. I'll put a spoilers ahead in the comment section down below, or in the beginning of the video. I'll probably do that. But Ruby is half demon. She has the patterns of the demons on her arms, and when we first see the pattern, it's not on her neck. But she checks it. She checks again, and the patterns are spreading out to her neck, which is affecting her voice. So we learned from Rumi that mom her mom was with a demon. So her dad was a demon. Yeah, so yeah, that's why Rumi has the patterns on her arms. So yeah, Ruby freaks out about this, and when she says why she's on top of a building, she's wondering how she can fix the world and fix herself if she doesn't have her voice. When she says why, she then pounds and says why again, but this time it's in her demon voice, and it kind of like warbles across like the Han Moon. It like the Han Moon's blue, and then when Ruby pounded on her fist, it briefly turned it like reverberated and made it like purple or something. When Zoe and Mira find out about Ruby's voice being in trouble, Zoe says that she has an idea to get Ruby's voice back and that it's totally legit.
Lies, lies, and more lies, and lies on top of lies.
The legit being in question. So she knows a doctor who makes special tonics that can heal anything from voice problems to relationship problems. And when they get there, the doctor says that to heal a part you must understand the whole. This doesn't make sense. Ruby is questioning this guy, and they all kind of like roast her for not wanting to go to the bathhouse with Mira and Zoe. But they end up getting the tonics. All is well, right? Well, they think they're gonna run into fans, but instead they run into the Saja boys. I'll do a quick rundown on them. So there's besides Gino. Oh my god, Gino, I'm so sorry. I'm tired. Besides Gino, there is Abby, Mystery, Romance, and Baby. Abby has abs. Get it? Abby, abs, not. And Mira and Zoe immediately first over him. So much so that Zoe briefly gets abs kind of like replace her eyes. Then Corn replaces her eyes. And then like one of Abby's buttons flies at her eyes and it turns into butter. And then when his whole shirt like pops off and shows his abs, Zoe has popcorn eyes. I'm not making this up. And then Mira has popcorn eyes, and then she starts eating the popcorn eyes. Ruby judges them, saying that they're gross, and then she sets eyes on Ginu. And these moments of events are the most K drama coded things I've ever seen in my life. So Ginu bumps into Rumi's shoulder, and it's like 3 times, and she ends up like falling. Ginu does this. Ruby thinks that she's about to like fall in love, well, which kind of ends up happening. So Ginu has his arm out, looking like he's about to help Ruby, and it's slow mo, and it's the most dramatic thing I've ever seen in my life. And then does this. He says psych, and then like brushes off his shoulder, and then he says, "Watch yourself" to Ruby, while walking away with Abby, Romance, Baby, and Mystery.
Damn!
This playing with fire moments kind of happens throughout the movie. So they end up getting battle ready. The battle ready and crush and stuff like looking kind of stupid, and then they pop out in these outfits, and let me tell you, Ruby's is what JoJo Siwa's Karma outfit should have looked like. It's slays. JoJo, have you learned nothing? So, um, and I want to point out one thing. So, somebody in this scene has killed Saja nails on like maybe these 4 fingers, and I think it might be Ruby. That's next level pettiness. The Saja boys are on this game show, and when the game show's over, Ginu notices that the Huntress girls are like right up above the thing, and so he ends up pointing them out, and they're like, "Oh no!" so they put their weapons down. So they put their weapons down, and they ended up chasing the Saja boys to a bathhouse. Zoe thinks it's the bathhouse that she and Mira usually go to. It's the men's bathhouse. And water demons start popping up. And Rumi ends up chasing after Ginu. And while Mira and Zoe are fighting the water demons on their own, they can't hold them, so they need Rumi, but Rumi is busy fighting Ginu. And during their little tussle, Ginu scratches like Rumi's shoulders, and it ends up cutting the fabric of her suit. And they end up kind of like this against the wall, where Rumi has her sword against Ginu's neck, like she's pinning her down. Let me tell you, this guy is looking at something other than Ruby, if you get my drift. Um, but he notices the patterns on he notices the scratched off part of the fabric, and he notices that Rumi also has patterns. And he is surprised to see that Rumi, a hunter, is also part demon. Rumi, Mira and Zoe are in trouble because they can't hold off the demons forever, but Rumi can't jump in without them seeing the patterns on her arm. So Jinu ends up like hugging Rumi so that he can have like so that he can like cover it up for her. Let me tell you, when I first heard this movie, I was not expecting an enemies to lovers trope in this movie. I was not expecting that. But Ruby ends up getting them out of the situation, and and when they get home, the Saja boys have gone viral after their performance, and they even have their own fandom called the Pride. What is it? Pride Rock? Lion King? What? No. Let me stop. But Ruby suggests they Ruby suggests, you know, the Idol Awards. I forgot to mention that. I purposely forgot to mention that. The Idol Awards in their universe is the biggest event of the year, and Ruby says that they can't skip it because it's the time where they can strengthen the Hanmoon for the entire year, or possibly turn it cold. But oh my god! But they decide, oh, we need the best song ever so we can end the Soldier Boys for good, and they decide to write a diss track. So Zoe has to write a new song, and Mira has to make the choreography more hotter. So when they said that they're gonna get him, Ruby goes to her room and she decides to try the tonics out. It turns out that the tonics are just great. It's just grape juice. It's like standard Capri Sun level type crap. Uh, and she's annoyed by this because Zoe's literally sent them to a fad doctor. She notices a bird outside with a tiny top hat. Speaking of the bird and the tiger, they are so cute, and I really want plushies of them, especially the tiger, because that tiger's cute. Somebody, please make plushies of them. Preferably like squishmallow plushies. But she notices a tiger, and she notices the tiger is so cute. She notices like these glowing like yellow eyes that she has her sword out. The tiger emerges from the shadows and he keeps like tripping over a flower pot and he tries to put it back. And it's so cute. The tiger ends up delivering a note. The note's in Korean, but someone had translated it. The note says, can we meet wait, wait. Sorry. So the note essentially says, can we meet up from Chinu? Ruby is annoyed by this and she initially decides not to meet him, and then she decides, oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. So she follows the tiger and the bird, and when they disappear, she climbs up onto the roof, and when she sees what seems to be like Genu, she has her sword out, and she like slices the head off it, but it turns out to be a mannequin, and Genu pops out of nowhere. He explains to Ruby that he knows about the patterns that he assumes that he doesn't know about the that Mira and Joey don't know about the patterns, which is correct. They don't know about the patterns. But then he tells Rumi his backstory. So Jinu is over 400 years old. 400 years ago, he and his family were living in poverty. His mother, and his sister. All he had was an old beepa, so he was husking the streets, and it didn't get him anywhere. At that point, they were starving and desperate, and Gimwa got into his head saying that Genu is not good enough for his family, but he can help him be good enough. And overnight, his life changed. His singing was praised. His talent for music was praised by the king, and his family, he and his family lived on the palace grounds. They were finally clean, and they were finally able to have their bellies full every night. But Genu had, of course, sold his deal, made a deal with Grima. The pattern started spreading until they consumed him, and then he was banished to the demon world, a prisoner of Gima for eternity. And this causes his family to be kicked out of the palace, and they were worse off than ever before. And I would assume that Genie's mother and sister died because of poverty.
Oh my god. Oh, oh my god.
The patterns are a reminder of a shame of the patterns remind him of the shame he has, and he also says that Ruby's patterns are a reminder of a shame of her own. But Ruby says that she doesn't know him, and Genu says that they'll meet next time. Ruby almost tries to kill him, but it doesn't work. So they struggle on writing the songs, and when Zoe gets distracted on writing their diss track, Zoe gets distracted by Mystery's photo, and Mira starts taking them down, and Rumi, and she says, just like we're gonna take down those boys. Rumi suggests that the song should be called Takedown, since it's a takedown, and they start on the lyrics. The lyrics are, I just heard this today. Oh my god. So sweet, so easy on the eyes, but hideous on the inside. Whole life spreading lies, but you can't try. Baby, nice try. There we go. Rue tries to say the next line. I'm about to switch up these vibes, which she coughs, and then this causes and leads to a montage with Takedown playing in the background of them fighting demons, protecting everyone while they slowly start to get replaced. Bobby sets up a fan signing for them. A fan signing for them where all their fans waited outside so they can get posters signed by them. And and 5 people specifically have sleeping bags on. When Rumi asks who should she make it out to, the guy says to our biggest fans, and they take off the sleeping bags, and it's revealed to be Genu and the Saja boys. They're annoyed. They're rightfully annoyed by this. It's like that. Yeah, they're rightfully annoyed by this. But so when they think it's a joint signing, they lose half the fans. Rumi notices this and says that the Saja boys will just stay with them. Mira and Zoe protest this, but Bobby says is genius, and so all the boys sit by them, and this Romance and Abby sit next to Mira, much to her noise. In Romance says, we keep meeting like this. Yeah, he was down bad for Mira, and maybe Abby too. Zoe sat next to Baby and Mystery. Zoe says that she is not sitting next to any Sasha boy when she's talking about Baby. And then when Mystery sits down, she says, what's up? And I'm like, calm down. And of course, Genu sits next to Rumi. This causes kind of like a back and forth where Rumi's arguing with Genu about his patterns, and Genu is like, "Oh, did you share?" Rumi starts off by, okay, so let me set the scene. Genu starts off by saying, "Oh, I didn't think you liked sharing." Rumi responds with, I love sharing." Gina says, "Oh, like you shared your secret with your friends," and then Mira is like over here looking at like I think romance and like writing down like her signature on like poster, saying, "I wish I could smash your demon face right now," and then switching up the moment, switching up saying, "Thanks for coming," and the fans like Ruby says. Back to Ruby and Gina though. Ruby says that she is gonna tell them eventually, and then this one fan reminds me of that fangirl from Star versus the Forces of Evil. you watch that show, you'll get which character I'm talking about. So since they're whispering, the fan the fan thinks that they're like dating, and she has this horribly that t-shirt is god awful, and it says Reginu. That's their ship name. We have a ship name already. This causes more back and forth where is like thinking of him for coming and Mister is barking at them while Mira, Abby, and Romance they're like fighting over who gets to sign like fans cast first. This poor fan looks so traumatized. I feel so bad. That that fan is the real victim of this movie. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. but but Rumi and Gino are fighting, and in this, Gino is just wow. Gino ends up like Gino said whispers in Rumi's ear that he said and says, "You can't even talk about her patterns." And this causes Rumi to get so riled up that she ends up stomping his foot.
Another one, thank you. 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 Another one, thank you.
Because they looked like, this makes a point later. She ends up stomping on his foot, and she says that she hates her patterns, like she hates all demons, and how she hates Guima. Genu says that if he could defeat Guima, then he would have done it a long time ago, and says, "Trust me." Then this one little girl had drawn a picture for Genu, and God, this scene is so adorable. Genu is like, Genu looks at the picture, and Rumi says that maybe he should listen to those voices instead of the ones in instead of the ones in her head, instead of the ones in his head, and ends up cheering, "Isn't he great? Woo Genu, everybody! Yeah, Genu." And Mira her hears this and she's like, "Woo Genu?
What did he say?
What are you talking about?" The Soldier Boys end up leaving after this, and Genu looks at the picture, and it says, and the picture is the picture that the little girl drew is Genu with angel wings and a halo, and it says, "Genu, you have a beautiful soul." That is so cute. So I think after this, Rumi is like hanging out in her room, reading the Takedown lyrics, and like the bird and the tiger are in the same room, and she starts to get sad because what Genie said is getting in her head. If I get like the order of this movie wrong, I'm so sorry. I'm very tired. Um, Mira enters her room in and Rumi has to immediately throw the lyrics away because she changed because she was like scrapping some out, and the trash can topples over. I'll make it this point later. So Mira asks Rumi what's wrong, and when Rumi kind of like is like shifting around, and specifically when Rumi like had to fix her trash can, she ends up like leaving one page of the lyrics from Take That Out and throws the others away. And Mira questions why Rumi is changing the lyrics, and Rumi says that she doesn't think that the song is like a good song to be dream on since it's so hateful. And when Mira continues to freak out, but then she apologizes to Rumi and says that she can't wait for all the demons to suffer with Guimon for eternity. And Rumi sadly says, "Eternal misery sounds fun." Mira is confused by this, but she ends up leaving anyways, and Ruby ends up meeting Genu two times throughout the movie. Hi, editing Arena here. I forgot to mention the first meetup after that whole first one with Genu explaining his backstory. So Ruby scares Genie for some funny, for some weird reason. And I forgot to mention this, but it's actually really important. And I also forgot to mention another scene. I am stupid, but so what happens here is Ruby off- offers Genie to help him win the Idol Awards in exchange for his freedom because when they steal the Han Moon, all the demons will be done for this world, and he could be on the healing side when the Han Moon is sealed so that he can be free from the voices. When Genu asks what makes me think the Han Moon can save someone like him, Rumi says that Genie was just a guy who tried to help his family and all he did was make a mistake. Genie says that it's not that simple. Foreshadowing. Rumi says, and I quote, but I am a mistake. Have been since the moment I was born. So I have to believe. If what if there's no hope for you, then what is it? Then what hope is there for me? Something like that. And that is gut wrenching to hear her say that she thinks of herself as a mistake. That is absolutely gut wrenching. Holy life. This seller comes by and mistakes Ruby and Gino as boyfriend and girlfriend. They deny this, and then Gino says, and I quote, and this leads to probably my favorite exchange in this whole movie. It was so quotable. So I'm gonna quote it. Jeannie says she's not even my type. Ruby says, what? Excuse me? I'm everyone's type. Jeannie says you can't even show up on time. Ruby says, what are you from the 1900s? Go a little lower, go a little lower. Then Jeter says, I see why you're so single. Ruby says, what? And then Jeter says to the seller who's just watching, he's like, go pick one here. And then he says, see, we never work. And then the seller says, here, free one. She was offering them a bracelet. She says, here, free one. Go find yourself a better boy. This one's hopeless. Dang. Then Then Rumi goes on this another tirade about hope, and then it's gonna offer to Genie the bracelet, but he doesn't take it, and then Rumi just is like, fine, it's your loss. And then he grabs her wrist, and then they stare at each other, and God, the vibes are so immaculate, and the scene, so immaculate, so immaculate, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And then this causes them to stutter on each other's words. And then Genie says, I don't think you're a mistake. And then it's just even more awkward between them and Ruby eventually leaves. This leads to a scene where Ruby, Mira, and Zoe are practicing takedown, and Ruby stops at the lyrics because because of the lyrics not being right just yet. And then Zoe tries to fix the lyrics, but as I was suggesting the worse lyrics. At this point, it's a day to the idol. It's like a few days before the idol awards. They say it's like the next day, but then whatever, whatever, whatever. Ruby says that they Mira says that they don't have time to change the lyrics even if they wanted to because the adult words are literally the next day. And Ruby says that she doesn't think she could sing this song. And this leads to a fight with her on a train where Mira asks Ruby what's her problem. Ruby says that it's the song. Mira says that she wasn't talking about the song, she was talking about Ruby herself and asking her why is she questioning everything they stand for when they're so close to stealing the Han Moon and asks Rumi repeatedly what she's hiding from them. Rumi snaps and says, and I quote, not everything is about your insecurities, Mira. Dang. This leads to a fight where they start singing takedown. On a train, they're trying to save some passengers. Mira and Zoe are fine with takedown, but when Rumi gets to her line, she gets very vulnerable and like spaces out. And a demon knocks her sword out the way. And as the train goes into the tunnel, it starts to get dark as a lot of demons are covering the plane with passengers inside it. They eventually defeat the demons, and the movie's like, oh wait, the passengers. They go in the train, and this leads to kind of, I think it's what is the darkest sequence of the movie. The the passengers are gone. Their souls were sucked up. They are dead. They are literally dead, which is absolutely wild to put in a kids movie. Mira says to Rumi after they get off the train that whatever she like, however thinks about the song, it really doesn't matter because everything is at stake, and all they need to do is just get through it together. Zoe says that she's always on Rumi's side, but she doesn't understand her this time, and that they can't win this without Rumi's voice. And Rumi says that she's gonna make sure they win, and that's how it segues to Happy that I was talking about. And during one of these visits, they sing a ballad duet, and it looks like they are almost about to kiss. Speaking of which, apparently the movie was supposed to be 3 hours long, and there was even a scene in an aquarium where Rumi and Gina were going to kiss. And they were also supposed to kiss at the end of Free, but they cut that out too. On a writer's standpoint, I understand why they didn't kiss because they literally just met. And it's only been like 2 weeks. But as a hardcore Regina shipper, why? Why? It has to be in the sequel. Let it be in the sequel, please. Thank you. So every time Rumi and Ginu talk, Rumi says that her voice is healed because of Ginu, and Ginu says he can't hear the voices in his head anymore. However, when Rumi leaves the second time around that they meet in this movie, they end up Ginu ends up getting sent back down, and Guiwa says that that if he really believed that he could be free, then he would have told Rumi the truth. The truth is that Juno apparently betrayed his own family by leaving them behind. So he was the one who was on the palace grounds it who ate until he felt full and slept on silk sheets while his family was suffering. So apparently he killed his own family.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
This all leads to the idol. This leads to Ruby had. I personally have to stop. Ruby asked Judu to help them win the Idol World Award so that they can turn the Hot Moon gold. And she says that if he can be on that side when the Hot Moon is sealed, he'll be freed from Guima for eternity. After like they sung free, Genu said that he'll make sure that the Sandra Boys lose tomorrow at the Idol Awards. And they decide the girls decide to sing Golden instead of Takedown because the song is about the best of them. And so yeah, fast forward to the Idol Awards. Fast forward to Idol Awards. The Sasha Boys apparently get into a fight. So the girls are able to go on first. While when when Mira and Zoe go off stage, Ruby is able to hit those high notes. But before they're about to go back on stage, Mira and Zoe notice that Bobby was getting kidnapped by demons, so they run off. So they run off trying to save him, leaving Ruby on stage. It turns out that Bobby was cloned was cloned. Like one of the demons were impersonating as him, but Bobby was watching Rumi deliver all her lines. Since Since they were far away, just when the Hamu was about to turn gold, the lights go off and Takedown starts playing on the speakers.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Mind you, they had decided to perform Golden instead of Takedown. So why is Takedown playing? I'm about to answer. The real Mira and Zoe were already backstage, and someone had sent two demons to impersonate Mira and Zoe, so that Rumi is the only one, the real one was only on stage. And during the song, the fake Mira and Zoe forcefully remove Rumi's jacket, revealing her demon patterns to everyone, including Mira and Zoe. The real ones, they had already come back, and this causes Rumi to freak out after Demon Mira and Zoe said, we see you for who you are. You're a demon. A mistake. You have been since the moment you were born. Rumi looks like she's about to have a full-on panic attack on stage. So much so that the patterns start spreading all over her body. Not just her arms and her neck, on her stomach area, her legs, and her face. Rumi fully freaks out and she even causes like the spotlights to shatter. And Mira and Zoe show up just in time just to get a good look at Rumi without her jacket. And they found out that she is a demon. Rumi runs off stage and is relieved when she sees that Mira and Zoe were just being impersonated by demons and is relieved. But she notices that the patterns are still on her. She says that she was never supposed to see, and Zoe and Mira are shocked. They're like, "You didn't tell us this whole time. You didn't tell us this whole time." Explains that she had a plan with Genu so that the Sandra Boys can lose, so that they can get the gold, so that they can have the common gold, that she can be fixed and all that. And she says that she just was using him to fix herself so they can do her duty. But Zoe says, and I quote, how can we be together if we can't tell your lies from your truth from me? She only lied like once with the whole patterns thing. I don't think she. Never mind. Rumi says that she can still fix it, but when she says fix it, the whole reverberating thing with the with the with the pattern with like the hum reverberating. Zoe and Mira hesitate before like holding up their weapons, meaning that Fromi came closer and they would kill them. And this was so sad. I didn't cry. I don't really cry when it comes to movies, but this was sad. Ruby runs away and she looks for Genu, and she is so angry, and she asks Gina, why did she do it? Why did he do it? Gina says that it was all a lie. It was all a lie, and lie. But Ruby says that what they had was real, and that she knows it was. Though she was. And what happened after that? I just watched it today. What fan am I? But Uh, but Genu says that it was all lies to get her to trust him, and Ruby says that he's still a good person, that she knows his story, that she tried to help a person. But Genu explains that he left his family and that he lied to her, saying that saying that he left his sister and his mother alone while he slept on silk sheets and had his belly full every night, and that he left him. Rumi says that is not all he is. That's like just his demon talking, and she has to fight it, fight it. Oh my god! Juno says that that is not how it works. Rumi says yes, it is. As her demon voice like flares up and it reverberates again. Juno says that that she is a demon just like them, and they have to live with that before disappearing. This leads to the most insane scene in the movie. So the honeymoon is coming apart, right? Because of the Huntrix public breakup, the Soldier Boys end up winning all the awards and stuff like that. And Bobby ends up getting turned onto the other side along with Mira and Zoe as everyone is going to Namsan Tower for a special Soldier Boys free performance. This leads to the most insane scene in the movie, and I'm surprised it's even in it. It's a kids movie. This is a kids movie. So Rumi ends up going to Celine, and Rumi says that they all know, and that they know, and that being half demon is who she is, and she ends up dropping to her knees with her sword and holding it up, and she says that Celine should just do what she has to do to make sure that before Ruby destroys something that she's supposed to protect. So she says that Celine has to end her.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
Oh my God. Oh, oh my God.
Let that sink in for a minute. This is a kids movie, by the way. A kids movie is going up against I'm comparing it to a kids movie. Um, Celine says that she can't, and that when she lost her mother, and that when they lost Ruby's mother, she swore to protect all that's left of her. She says that she didn't think it would be a child like Ruby, and I want to point out that she's not even touching Ruby's face.
No one likes you! No one likes you! No one likes you!
Celine says that she did everything in her power to accept Ruby and help her, but Ruby says that she told her to cover up and to hide her patterns. But Celine says that she did it so that they can fix everything and and that they can still fix it. She ends up like taking off her like cardigan and putting it on Ruby's shoulders and putting it on Ruby so that she can so that they can cover those up and put everything writing on. She'll tell Mira and Zoe that it was all a lie, and it was just an illusion for Guillemot to bring them apart. But Ruby says no, and that she doesn't want to lie anymore, and asks Celine if she gets it and that this is who she is. And then this leads to my favorite part of the movie, and I'm gonna quote it. Look at me. Why can't you look at me? Why couldn't you love me? I do. All love me. I love this movie, man. Celine, this is like a mantra that's repeated throughout the movie. Celine says that their faults and fears should never be seen because it's the only way to protect the Han Man. Ruby says that if that's the Han Moon that she's supposed to protect, then she's glad to see it destroyed and she teleports away. So, the Soldier Boys end up performing Your Idol, and at the end, Ruby ends up ending it with a high note. And she says this mantra that's also repeated throughout the movie: "We are hunters." Well, oh, I can't remember it. Hold on. We are hunters, voices strong, slaying demons with our song. Fix the world and make it right till darkness finally meets the light. Guima says that everyone can see Rumi for what she is, and Rumi ends up saying, and he says that the hot moon is now gone, and Rumi says it is, so we can make a new one. And this segues into the last song. This is what it sounds like. While she's singing, Mira and Zoe immediately snap out of their trance, and during the song, Ruby's patterns turn from the standard purple color into like kind of like a platinumy rainbow color, and they're gorgeous. Before the chorus of the song, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe embrace into a group hug, and Mira and I don't know why I'm doing that with Mira. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm tired. Mira and Zoe's outfits, they changed from the black, like golden colors to like into white with the white into white. And if you can look closely, they have patterns on like their sleeves to mimic Rumi's. And during the song, Mira and Zoe are fighting off the demons while Rumi goes forward. And during the song, and this leads to probably the part where we all universally don't like, Yima sends a massive like wave towards a massive power blast towards Rumi, and Rumi has to use her sword to shield herself. However, because it's not her sword's not strong enough, she ends up getting pushed back and she almost dies. Genu jumps in front of the blast, saving Rumi, and sacrifices himself. Rumi says that she wanted to set Genie free, but Genie says that she did, and that she gave him his soul back, and now he gives it to her, and he disintegrates. Rumi's sword transforms, and she uses it to defeat Guima, and her and and Rumi, Mira, and Zoe end up flying, and they create like floating in the sky, and they end up creating a new Hanmoon and banishing Queemot. And Abby and Mystery are killed by Mira and Zoe, but we don't see Romance or Baby, so maybe in a sequel they'll come back. So they end up banishing everyone, banishing the demons, and they create a new Hanmoon. This time it is like rainbowy, rainbowy, and all's well that ends well. Happy ending. Rumi can finally be able to go to the bathhouse with her friends, and they end up meeting fans outside the bathhouse, and we see the tiger and the bird on top of a billboard that showcases Rumi's patterns. And that's it. So those were brief overviews of Rainbow Rocks and K-pop Demon Hunters. Now we're gonna go into all this. This is an hour 20 minutes full. So we're gonna talk about the animation first. So the animation from K-pop Demon Hunters kind of mixes 2D elements and 3D elements. Um, K K-pop Demon Hunters kind of has that same like kind of stop motiony vibe that Spider Verse has, except it's less on an epi less on in it's less like comic book style like Spider Verse is, and more anime like or manga like. And Equestria Rose's animation, it's like Friendship is Magic animation, but it's still very pretty and very aesthetically pleasing to look at, and same with K-pop Demon Hunters. Both of these movies are bright and vibrant in many different ways. The Hanmoon is kind of like a way to show to visually show like the visual themes of this movie, and really in and this cool like blue color is like is is kind of like the Huntress Girls colors, while this more fiery magenta is associated with the demons. And then Equestria Girls, like each girl has their own like individual color palette, but it's still vibrant and saturated and happy. Both of these movies did vibrant really well, and it's if you compare both of these movies to Disney's Wish, yeah, no comparison. I want to talk. The main difference though is the fashion. So Equestria Girls was really getting into its fashions. Um, I would say by like digital series, the fashions started just becoming no. Wait, I'd say after Friendship Games, the fashions from Equestria Girls, they get better and better with each movie and special. My favorite outfits from these girls, from Equestria Girls, are the Dance Magic outfits, um, the the power up they get in Forgotten Friendship, and the spring breakdown outfits. Those are really pretty. I like those. Oh, and the ones from Sunset's Backstage Pass. I like those. Yeah. In the crystal forms from Everfree. Okay. But in the first two movies, it was not cute. Especially in Rainbow Rocks. Oh, those outfits that they wear in like the climax. Oh, the Dazzling's outfits are fine, but Adagio's is colored kind of wrong. If it was just like, if it matched her hair, then it probably would be better. But those outfits that they wear at the end, it's 80s, but it's even more tackier than the 80s. K-pop Demon Hunters fashion, however, it's similar. Like it's very pretty. Like their concert outfits and the outfits that I wear to the awards, they're those outfits are so gorgeous. And with Rumi's outfit specifically, you can tell if she's like trying to cover up. Compared to Mira and Zoe, they show more skin than Rumi. Rumi wears hoodies and turtlenecks for most of the movie, anything with long sleeves, and of course she wears the jacket during Golden, and she wears like a, and of course in the outfits that she wears in How It's Done and in the fan sighting is a baggy jacket, baggy long sleeves with a cropped turtleneck. But the fashions are gorgeous. Like I said before, the fan meeting outfits, the meet and greet outfits, and the slash how it's done outfits are gorgeous. Like the outfits that they briefly wear on the Sasha board is when like some sort of award. The outfits they briefly wear is great. The casual wear is it looks good. When they're on the train, I like those outfits and the golden outfits and slash this is what it sounds like outfits when they turn white. Those are gorgeous. Those are gorgeous. Someone said this, and I agree. The Winx reboot should really look like K-pop Demon Hunters. Because I know they were like trying to make it look like. I know they're trying to influence on K-pop fashions, but it was not cute. None of them would be caught dead in what Reboot Bloom calls a skirt. None of them would wear that. None of them. None of them. Yeah. And my main point is coming up the music. So if we go through like the song, K-pop Demon Hunters has 8 songs if you count twice this version of Takedown, and Rainbow Rocks has 10. I had to count in the credits. I had to count when I was at the credits. So so how it's done in the opening title song Rainbow Rocks from both of these movies, they kind of fit like the opening song intro. If I had to choose one I liked, it had to be How It's Done. The Rainbow Rocks is just like supposed to be a title opener. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's just How It's Done is more mature and when that beat drops, when that beat drops, it's iconic. And when the heels, nails, blade, mascara part comes off, yeah, that's iconic. Yeah, yeah. Then we have Golden and Better Than Ever. Than Ever is what the Rainbows first sing in Rainbow Rocks. They sing it when they're trying to cheer up Sunset after she's like just defeated after everyone just, yeah. They sing it, and this is when we get the ponying up instance. The song is very cheerful and peppy, and it's very cutesy. If you're having a bad day, then listen to it. You'll feel better. And then Golden, and it's Golden, like Mira says in the movie. It's the story of them. It's the story about who they are and where they're going next. Golden is obviously the more mature song out of this. Golden is obviously the more mature song out of these two, but they kind of have the same thing. They kind of have like the same overall theme of oh, we're happy. We're gonna win something. um we're happy and we're gonna start a new era. Happy, happy, joy, joy, joy. Now we're gonna have to group 2 songs from Equestria Girls together since they had more songs than Rainbow Rocks. So Soda Pop Battle of the Bands and Under Our Spell, they're all in the same umbrella, basically. Soda Pop is brainless. It's brainless and it's catchy, and it's my least favorite song from the movie. It really depends on my mood for how I feel, but every single time I watch it, I'm just like, when is this gonna end? I love the sequence from Soda Pop because it's just overall funny, overall very funny. But oh my god, I did not put that on my playlist. I put every song besides like the Twice version and like all the stuff on like I Hi, Edmund right here. I recorded this in like August. It's October now, and I've since changed my mind on Soda Pop. I've grown more accustomed to it. I like it now, but it still happens to be my least favorite. And I still stand by on what I said when I said it was brainless. And like the sound, like the score. But I put every other song besides Soda Pop in it because I just don't want to listen to it. You're all that I no. And if it was in a cage match with Under Our Spell and Battle of the Bands, no. Battle of the Bands and Under Our Spell are very mature sounding. They both have good lyrics. The themes are good. Except the difference between let's say Battle of the Bands and Soda Pop. Soda Pop is very like, oh, it's cute, but if you look deeper into lyrics, it's like, oh, we're gonna eat you up. While Battle of the Bands is more out like, oh, you wanna be the best and you're gonna have to be the best. You wanna be the best? Then be the best. And don't let anyone like stop you from being the best. Oh, we should see who's better, yada yada yada. And Under Our Spell kind of has, and Under Our Spell is just more blatant, where we're like, oh, you're under our spell. You're blindsided by our song. Oh my god. Now I was kind of struggling with this. So Shake Your Tail doesn't really fall into any category with these songs, and neither does Free because there's no ballad in this movie. There's no like ballad that I can compare it to. So we're gonna skip Free and Shake Your Tail because neither of those have like anything to match with it. So Takedown and Awesome as I Wanna Be, I think could fit into the same category. Awesome as I Wanna Be is just Rainbow Dash saying how she's just awesome and that she's just better than and just she's better than you. And Takedown is a diss track against the Soulja Boys. Takedown is like yikes, like those lyrics are wild. And they took Rumi's part of the movie, but part of that Rumi's verse is kind of sad if you listen to it. There's shorts all over YouTube talking about Rumi's verse in Takedown. Takedown is very hip hop inspired. It's K-pop, but I also feel some hip hop elements to it because they're rapping for most of the time. Hi, Edmund, are you here? I also forgot to mention why I grouped Awesome as I Wanna Be and Takedown together. It's because both of these songs caused tension with the groups that they were in. Awesome as I Wanna Be is the song that Rainbow Dash constantly brings up, and the and Maylee Fluttershy wants them to sing one of her own songs, but Rainbow Dash constantly keeps saying no in favor of Awesome as I Wanna Be. And also, throughout the movie, she's constantly referring to the Rainbows as her band. And we can even see during Under Our Spell their shots of the girls arguing. I would assume that was about Rainbow Dash's power trip, and also because of the song. And Takedown, Rumi eventually does not want to sing the song, and she can't tell her friends that it's because, oh, I'm half demon, I feel it, and it feels like you guys are taking jabs against me. And it also causes tension on Mira and Zoe's end of things because since Rumi won't tell them what's going on, it feels like she's hiding stuff from them. It feels like she's going against everything they stand for when they're so close to completing their mission. And how it feels like they're just not really together as a group. That's mainly the reason why groups both Octopus and Wannabe and Takedown together is because they both cause so much tension within the groups that it both eventually caused the breaking points, especially with Takedown. So yeah, most of the time, and then the chorus is like, "It's a takedown. I'm gonna take you on. It'll break down like what? It's a takedown." And then one, and this is kind of why Rumi was not really like with that song. One of the lyrics says, "A demon with no feelings don't deserve to live. It's so obvious." And it has substance of like "Awesome as I Want to Be," which is basically just a love letter to Rainbow Dash. I'm also not counting Tricks Up My Sleeve, mainly or the Bad Counterspell, because mainly because those they barely show up. I know there's a full version of Awesome as I of Tricks Up My Sleeve. I'm not listening to it though. I don't want to because I don't like Trixie. But yeah, you know. It could also be argued that Takedown again could go up and could kind of like falls into the same category as Welcome to the Show. Because it's like because Rumi is gonna get like exposed to everyone and gonna get canceled for having tattoos. So yeah, you can also say that Golden when they perform it at the Idol Awards, you can also say that it could also highlight to Rain like the beginning of Rainbow's Battle. Is it Rainbow's Battle that has the so only to hear a crowd cheering out my name? Is that it? I don't know. Please comment down below. I'm really tired. But yeah. Then we have Your Idol and Welcome to the Show. This is why I made this video before because this is why I'm making this video now because I saw a short like a short where like we're like, hey, this is like the same movie where Your Idol and Welcome to the Show played. I want to point out one lyric from from Your Idol because it's kind of like a love confession to Rumi from Gino. I'm the only one who who will love your sins. How did they? How did the rest of the Soulja Boys just not realize? Oh wait, is that a love connection to that? Is that a love confession to that Hunter girl? No, we're not singing that. Also, baby and romances lines were not in the were not in the movie version, which is weird. I met Mystery. I met Mystery. And I want to point this out. Your Welcome to the Show and Your Idol, they're both the most blatant examples from one of these, for both of these fictional bands that like, oh, we're evil and we don't care. Both of these are very blatant, and I also kind of want to point this out, like like the whole like sound of Your Idol is it's kind of sexual, and and this is kind of why that song gives me the ick. I like it, but it kind of makes me feel icky. It kind of makes me feel sick. And then we have This Is What It Sounds Like in Rainbow's Battle. It could also apply to Shine Like Rainbows at the end during the credits, but um, both of these songs are where the main characters can finally defeat the big bad, and it's like, oh, we can finally defeat them. And you can't tell me like the climaxes of both of these are crazy similar. You cannot tell me otherwise. I'm gonna like play a side by side of this like I'm doing with others. I'm gonna try to do a side by side of this so you can see what I'm doing, like all like the rainbow swirling around them. That's all it needs is a rainbow alicorn and they could be twins. They end up defeating both, and then I guess the Twice version of Takedown and Shine Like Rainbows could also apply since they're both the credit songs. But I'm gonna say that this is what it sounds like has has kind of like the same energy as Shine Like Rainbows. So yeah, I also want to point out that Rumi and Senset's arcs in this movie that in these movies are kind of similar. Rumi's arc is all about self acceptance and like not being ashamed of her patterns, and she finally feels not, and she feels like, oh, just her existing is a mistake because she wasn't supposed to be born, and she didn't choose to be half demon. Her whole thing is that she wants to just be accepted. So she thinks doing by making the Hamun gold, all the patterns will disappear. And I want to point out that this is Celine. Celine told her that. Yeah. And Sunset's arcs is all about overcoming like adversity over and also acceptance, but also acceptance by everyone around her because they all dogpiled on her for like 40 minutes straight. Um, but they have similar arts. I guess you could argue that Genu and Sunset have similar arcs. Fair comparison, but no. It's Rumi and Sunset. Yeah. And now the movie I've been waiting for, the ships. So in K-pop Demon Hunters, there's kind of like polyamorous ships. Rumi, Mira, and Zoe are some that I see pop up everywhere. Um, Mira, Romance, and Abby I see a lot. Baby, Zoe, and Mystery I see a lot. And of course, the one I see the most is Reginu. I adore Reginu. I want more of them. I want them to have their happy ending. I want them to have at least a kiss in the sequel. And I want them to be more than friends. Sony, if you don't bring Genie back in the sequel, I'm rioting. I'm rioting. Count your days. Count your days. But I am mentally preparing myself to the when if with the possibility that he doesn't come back. I am mentally preparing myself. And then with Equestrian Girls, there's a lot of like same sex couples like Sunset and Twilight, Rarity and Applejack, Rainbow Dash and Applejack. The one that's like the most canony one is Flash and Princess Twilight. Oh God. They don't know each other that well. I mean, I know Rumi and Ginu didn't know each other that well, but at least they had 2 weeks. At least they had 2 weeks. Flash and Twilight, on the other hand, 5 days. Five. Five. If you count the 3 days from the first movie, and then I think it's 2 days for Rainbow Rocks. And most of the time they were just beefing. Five. Five compared to 2 weeks. 2 weeks is 14 days. Five? Not even a full week. Every time I watch Rainbow Rocks, because I rewrite Flash's character a lot, every time I rewatch the Equestrial series, I keep forgetting that this happened, and I'm always just annoyed and nauseated every single time. Why does this exist? Why does this exist? I have to like walk out the room when that scene of like when they're like hugging and they look away like I have to walk out the room every time that part happens in Rainbow Rocks, or I have to like close my eyes, or I have to like stare at the ceiling. It's bad. Rumi and Ginu, on the other hand, I feel the romantic tension and I feel the chemistry. I was not expecting an enemies to lovers trope in that movie. I was not expecting that. I was gagged and I was floored. I thought that he was gonna at least help her up, but then when he did that psych, when I watched it for the first time, I was like, he did not. He did not. And this guy was playing with fire the entire movie, just trying to make her even more mad. Hi, Erin, I'm here. So I know I usually do full drama content, but I was gonna I'm also gonna make a comparison to Duncan and Courtney here because compare Duncan and Courtney to Rumi and Gina. There is no comparison. Gina would never, and I mean never, ever, ever cheat on Rumi like Duncan did to Courtney. Never, never. Never. If there's a K-pop Demon Hunter series in the near future after like Gina returns and stuff, I have a feeling that they're gonna do an episode where he's like constantly getting flirted by other girls and Rumi is just extremely jealous and misunderstood misunderstands like him talking to someone about a romantic surprise for Rumi and accuses him of cheating when he's like, I would never cheat on you. Like Peter would never. He seems like he would be so extremely faithful to Rumi. Unlike Duncan over here, who cheated on Courtney with her almost best friend. Dagny would never. Virginia supremacy. Virginia supremacy. Duncan and Courtney can never. They can never. Oh. Yeah, I'm tired. If it's on it, I might make a part 2 to this, along going to like the historical stuff in K-pop Demon Hunters. Comment down below if you want to see that. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below on what did you think about these two movies. What are your favorite songs? What are your favorite characters? And did you like the movie? And comment down below on what you wanted to see in part 2 and part 3 of Queen of What Ifs. And until next time, and until then, I will see you all in the next one. Bye! I am so tired.